we'll talk about perpendicular, and what's perpendicular mean? Two lines, rays, or segments that intersect at a right angle. Two lines, rays, or segments that intersect at a right angle. In a picture, you might see a symbol in a picture for perpendicular that looks like this. Oh, symbol in a picture? My bad. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Symbol in a picture is the box, the right angle box. The right angle box. If you're in a picture, you see that symbol right there? The right angle box is that. Now, the symbol in a sentence, like if they had something in like a math sentence, looks like this, an upside down capital T. Upside down capital T means perpendicular. What does parallel mean? Remember that, parallel, in your own words? What's parallel mean? They never intersect. That's as far as we know so far. It's not totally right, but we'll clean that up another day. But parallel lines, they don't intersect. Okay, they have to be in the same plane also, is what the real part is. So let's see if we can translate this English sentence right here, underlined in green, into a math sentence. See this? Line AC, how it says that in English? Translate that to math for me, please. How would we write line AC in math? What does that say? Distance from A to C. Is that what we wanted to say? What does that say? Segment AC. What's that say? What's that say? So that's how you translate line AC into math. Then is perpendicular to. So this is a sentence, correct? We need the symbol in a math sentence. Should we put the right angle box, or should we put the upside down capital T? Boom. And then line BD comes next. That's pretty simple. Isn't that just like that? So that right there is taking the English sentence of line AC is perpendicular to line BD and putting it into straight, old, fat, old math symbols right there. Cool? So let's see what this says. It says, find the value of x and y so that, how would you read that out loud? Line NR is perpendicular to line MQ. It's one of those things, if you don't know what the symbols mean, you're not going to know how to do the problem. Cool? So they're saying line NR. I'll find it for you. Let's do a little finding. Isn't this line NR right here? I want it to be perpendicular to line MQ. Well, if they're perpendicular, what do you know about them? They intersect at a 90-degree angle. They say, please find the value of x and y. So let's find x first. Here's a 5x. Here's a 1x. This is supposed to be 90 degrees if they're perpendicular, correct? So what kind of equation can we set up to do that? 5x plus x equals 90. Would you agree with that? Let's combine like terms right away. What's 5x plus x? So over here, nice, neat, and organized, 6x plus, I guess there's no plus. 6x should equal 90, correct? Right, because we did 5x plus 1x equals 90. Now let's solve for x. See if that comes out nice. Wouldn't you divide by 6? Does that come out nice? What do you get? 15? Is it 15 degrees? Or is it just 15? It's just the value of x, right? Once you substitute that back in, it would give you a degrees after you do that. So x is just 15. Cool? Now let's find y. Isn't there a y in the picture also? Here's some y's. What can we do with that guy if they're supposed to be a perpendicular? 9y plus 18 equals 90, right? Because isn't that whole overall bad boy supposed to be 90 degrees? Solve for y. Pause the video, get that done. So hopefully we got y equals 8. Feel comfy with that problem. Next, see this inflammation? See that picture right there? Let's see if you can put all that inflammation into that picture right there. Pause the video, get that done. Just put the info in the picture, then we'll do the rest together. So we needed the 3x plus 10 in the picture, we needed the x in the picture, and then you also must put the right angle box in the picture because they tell you they're perpendicular. Now see if you and Pal can set up an equation and solve for x. This is a 90-degree angle right here, correct? Isn't that a 90-degree angle? Highlighting helps us see. So see if you can set up an equation and solve for x. What do you think about 4x plus 10 equals 90? Where did 4x come from? Combined like terms, right? I'm adding x plus 3x plus 10 equals 90, so 4x equals 100 or 80? Because you got to subtract 10, and x equals the 20. Is that right? Cool. Is that all they want? Yes. Now let's see if we can kind of preview for chapter 2. You know how we were like justifying where these equations came from and all this? Why did we write this? Why did we say that this should all add up to equal 90? Is there like one juicy thing in here that was like the most important? Perpendicular, right? And would you believe that that's like what perpendicular means, that that should be 90 degrees? So there's no theorems about perpendicular, and there's no postulates about perpendicular. It's like the meaning of that word, like the definition of perpendicular. Is that pretty cool with you? That's our justification. You can use definitions, postulates, or previously proven theorems. That's exactly what perpendicular means. Number 4, same thing. Put it all in the picture and get her done. Pause the video. Are we cool with all that? Did I put everything in the picture correctly? It's a kind of a maybe, maybe not, because they didn't straight tell me that they were perpendicular. They said find the value of y that would make them perpendicular, right? So it's like if y was 9, this would be a right angle. Cool? But I think it was still good practice to put that right angle box. But you know, here they straight up said, hey dude, they're perpendicular. Here they said, what would y have to be to make them perpendicular? So it's kind of a wishy-washy kind of deal. Cool? Ideal problems. I make them very, very, very simple. IDEAL is an acronym which stands for this. It's just a problem-solving strategy that we used to be really big on here at Hays High. Now it's kind of fallen by the wayside. But for the type of problems we're going to do on the backside, IDEAL is a great strategy. I is the first thing you got to do is identify the question in a complete sentence. Don't sentences start with capital letters and end with punctuation? So if it's a question, shouldn't it start with a capital letter and end with a question mark? Cool? That's the first thing we'll do. Then D is define your variables. E, we will write an equation for the situation using our defined variables. A, we will act it out by solving our equation. And L, we'll label answer in a complete sentence. So when you get stuck at home and you're like, I can't remember what IDEAL stands for, here it is on your practice worksheet. Let's do some IDEAL problems on the back side. Don't they give us a problem here that says the measure of an angle is 5 more than 4 times its complement. What is the measure of the angle? Is that what your problem says? So let's do this. Let's identify the question. And you will put these off to the side. Capital I. This is the I step in IDEAL. I stands for identify the question. It is not rocket science. Do you see all these words that you have up here? Do you know what the question asked you? What did it say? So we will write that with a capital letter and punctuation at the end. What is the measure of the angle? You can pause the video if I'm moving too fast and get this all copied down. You are not allowed to abbreviate in a complete sentence. No abbreviations. You can't use like the angle symbol right here. You can't just abbreviate like what is this. That is not a complete sentence. That is abbreviated, right? It's got to be all words. Are you cool with that? So I stands for identify the question in a complete sentence. 3 points, capital letter, question mark, and was it a complete sentence? D, we need to define what we know. Aren't they asking us for the measure of the angle? Correct? So do you know what the measure of the angle is right now? No. So let's make up a variable for it. What do you want to let that be? X. And now we can abbreviate if we want to. We will say D. X is the measure of an angle. I have absolutely no idea what the angle is. So we're going to say X is the measure of the angle, or an angle, whatever you want to say. This is not the complete sentence part. You can abbreviate. If I write it, you can write it. So that's the very first thing you always define. You got to let me know what X stands for, and aren't we looking for the measure of the angle? Cool? Then in these problems, I will either talk about either the complement or the supplement. What is this particular problem talking about? The complement to that angle. Well, we have an X degree angle. Isn't that our angle? And last time we talked about it, what is the complement to an X degree angle? 90 minus X. You never want to use a Y. Somebody brought that up. You don't want to try to bring in 2 different variables, right? If you define X, try to keep it in terms of X, right? So if we've got an X degree angle, isn't its complement 90 minus X? So that's still in the D step. We'll say 90 minus X as a quantity equals the complement. Those are the 2 things that you will define. Every time, 2 things. 1, X is the measure of the angle. 2, You either define complement or supplement. What if I would have had the word supplement in here instead of complement? What would this be? Instead of 90 minus x equals complement, what would that say? 180 minus x equals a supplement. So that's these two things. Two things to define. Cool? Now it's time to write the equation, which is where we struggle with, to write the equation. All we have to do is go back and reread this problem and first of all find the word is. Because is where the equal sign is. If is translates mathematically to the equal symbol. So let's read this. The measure of the angle is, do you see this word? Circle it. Circle the word is. That's where your equal sign is located. And it's not rocket science, guys. Whatever is on the left of the word is will be on the left side of our equation. Whatever is to the right of the word is will be on the right side of our equation. Sound cool? And all we have to do is take what we have defined right here and translate it from English into mathematics. Let's start right here. What does this say? The measure of the angle. Do we have anything defined to stand for the measure of the angle? Doesn't that say the measure of the angle right there? And what can we replace it with? So right here, would you agree that we have an x on the left side of the equal sign? Just, you can watch me. I'm just kind of talking. Isn't that all turn into x? Right? Took care of all of it. So now we move over to the right side. 5 more than. Do you know what that means? 5 more than? Does it mean times 5 or plus 5? If I had 20 bucks and you had 5 more than me, how much would you have? 25. Plus 5. So this is a plus 5. But boy, oh boy, oh boy, more than means we got to save it for the end. We always do those in backwards order. So we got to save plus 5 for the end. Okay, so I'm just hanging on to this. 4 times the complement. 4 times the complement. So here's what I got so far for our equation. Let's kind of start our equation. Reading from left to right, didn't start with x, right? The measure of the angle is, what does that translate to? Then we got 5 more than. We're saving that for last, right? We're going to save that for last. 4 times the complement. Do you know what the complement is? You sure do. Didn't we define it up here? Don't we know what the complement is? It's 90 minus x. I need 4 times that. So how would I write that? 4 times the quantity of 90 minus x. This right here says 4 times the complement. Correct? Is there anything else I need in this equation to finish it off? We've got to throw that plus 5 at the end. There is our equation right there. Now let's kind of go back and reread it. It says the measure of the angle, isn't that what that says right there? Is 5 more than, came last, 4 times the complement. Correct? Let's solve this for x. That's our E step right there. E means just write an equation. Cool? The A step means act it out by solving for x. So let's solve for x. What would you do first to solve this? Let's distribute the 4 through. Correct? So this x equals has got to come down. What's 4 times 9? 36. So what's 4 times 90? 360. And then should the 4 get distributed to this also? To this minus x? Well, it's 4 times negative x. Cool. And then the plus 5 is still there. Finish solving for x, and then we'll go to lunch. Finish solving for x. That, did you get x equals 73? Cool. Let's finish this problem here real quick. All we've got to do now is label our answer in a complete sentence, meaning we've got to retranslate this back from math to English. What does this stand for? X. What does that stand for? The measure of the angle. What does this equal sign really translate to into English? Is 73 degrees. The measure of the angle is 73 degrees. You can use the degree symbol. That's not an abbreviation. I mean, it's like a label, you know. So the measure of the angle is 73 degrees. Capital letter, period, no abbreviations. Of course, you can use a number and a degree symbol. It's all cool. Sound all right? So we'll do another one when we come back. So let's do I. What's I stand for? Identify the question. So let's get that done. Measure of an angle is 18 more than twice its supplement. What is the measure of the angle? Hey, what's the question? Unbelievable. What is the measure of the angle? Capital letter, question mark, no abbreviations. D stands for define what you know. There will be 2 things. What is the first thing that we will define? Since we don't know the measure of the angle, we will define x to be the measure of the angle. We will define x. That's the first thing. There will be a second thing here also. We have to find the word either complement or supplement in these problems. This one is about a supplement. So if our angle is x degrees, what is the supplement to that one going to be? 180 minus x equals the supplement. 180 minus x equals supplement. Two things to define. And now it's equation time. So let's go back up through our original problem, find the word is, and circle that word. That makes a big difference. Circle the word is. Now you and Pal try to translate that equation into English. What's on the left side of the word is will be on the left side of the equal sign, and what's on the right side will be on the right side. See if you can get me an equation. Over here is the measure of the angle. What's that translate to? Is means equals. 18 more than means what? Plus 18. Where at? Save it for last. Twice. What the heck does that mean? 2 times the supplement. So 2 times the quantity of 180 minus x. All right. Anything else? Sweet. Solve for x. Pause the video. Solve for x. Act it out. That's what A stands for. Act it out by solving. So we should have solved and got x equal 126. Now we need to do L, label our answer in a complete sentence. Let's retranslate this from mathematics back to English. What would it say? What's x stand for? Measure the angle equals is 126 degrees. Period. Capital letter. Period. No abbreviations. So on the next one here, try to get I done by yourself and D done by yourself, and then check back and see if you've done that right. So pause the video and get that done for me. I and D, and then check. So here's our 2 things. Cool. Hopefully we got those. Now, let's see if we can write the equation on our own. Find the word is, circle it, left side, right side. That's the hard part about these, writing the equation. Here's the word is, correct? Hopefully you circled that. Does this say the measure of the angle? Is that what that says? Oh no, what does that say? Did we define anything to be the supplement? So what do we have to lead off with? As a quantity, right, 180 minus x is where we start with. You can't start with x because x stands for the measure of the angle. They're not talking about the measure of the angle. They're talking about the measure of the supplement right here. Cool? Is 20 more than means plus 20 at the end, correct? The measure of the angle. Do you know what the measure of the angle is? So x, and then you need that plus 20. Sorry, 20. Sound all right? Now solve that for x. The parentheses, can they just drop off? Is there anything being distributed or anything like that? So that means parentheses can go away, right? You don't need any parentheses there. You just got to keep it in parentheses in case they want to do twice this or 3 times this or 4 times that, because it has to be distributed too. Okay? But now the parentheses can drop. And hopefully you get that. Then write your answer in a complete sentence. So that there is what we should get. Cool. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a good one.